when you had the affair, were you running away from the marriage, or were you running toward this new relationship?
Oh, that's a great question. Um, I've never really thought about it in that term before.
Welcome to Untying the Knot, your go-to podcast for all things divorce. We're here to share stories and strategies to help you untangle the knots in your divorce so you can navigate it with confidence and clarity and build the life you desire. I'm your host, Lisa Gu.
And we have my friend Jeff today, and to share his divorce journey. And super grateful. Jeff and I met at a yoga retreat 2-3 years ago.
I think 2 years ago.
Yeah, we have the same meditation teacher. So, and some of you know that I'm going to Bali to get my yoga teacher training certificate. Jeff just went in March, so he was giving me all the tips about the trip and stuff. And then I was like, "Wow, you should come to my coaching program to talk about your journey." And he just super gracefully accepted that invitation, and here we are. So that's where Jeff and I met. Also, Jeff is an entrepreneur. You have your own business.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a painter.
Painting business, and for many, many years.
Now. Yeah, I've been in it for well over 20 years. I started in the year 2000. So I've been at it for 24 years now.
Yeah, awesome. And he's in my house right now in the basement recording this together, which doesn't happen often. So, okay. So tell us, how did your divorce start? Like, how many years were you married, and did you have kids, and how did it start, like, come about?
Okay, well, I was married for about 12 years. We have 2 children. They're now they are 14 and 17 years old. I guess one of the things about my divorce is I held on to my marriage way too long. Like I stayed in after I was unhappy and things weren't working because I was scared of how the divorce would affect the kids. I was, maybe a lot of fear, scared of not just spending as much time with my kids, and just how they'd be affected. But yeah, all those fears were pretty much unfounded. They're doing well. They're in high school. They're have good grades, and they're happy. So that's one of the things that I want to emphasize about my divorce is that when you realize things are not good, or you're in the wrong place, it's better to get out to make a change, or I shouldn't say not necessarily get out, but make a change that for your own happiness. Because staying somewhere where you're unhappy and things aren't working just puts in time and doesn't improve anybody's life.
And sometimes that change doesn't necessarily have to be divorce. It could be improvement on yourself and improvement on your marriage if the other person is willing to meet
absolutely.
You. And you mentioned there were times that you realized you were not happy. So how long was that period before you decide, okay, I have to end this marriage and to start new? And what were there some triggers or events and that help you make that decision?
Yeah, definitely. I can't really pinpoint a spot, like one time when I said 6 years in or 10 years in is where I felt that I was unhappy. Like there were, I remember little things all the way along that kind of made me realize that we weren't right for each other. I even remember on my honeymoon being a little bit unhappy, or thinking, oh, maybe this isn't the right partner for me. And that's not saying that was a bad person, just we weren't well matched. But she was the person that I was dating when I was 30 years old, and that's all my friends were married, and I wanted to be too. So
it's that social convention or pressure. It's like this, you should do this,
right,
rather than listening to your inner voice or heart. Like, there may be something not quite right.
Yeah, I was, back then I didn't know about listening to my heart. I wasn't into any, I didn't do yoga. I didn't have any real holistic training or any modalities that I followed back then. I went to a Christian church, and I was starting my business around that time, and just living very much in the material world. Not focused on going inside.
So what wasn't right?
See, I think I always wanted more. Always wanted, more adventure, to do more stuff, to explore the world more. And she was very happy just having a normal life, watching TV, going to work, coming home, and watching the soap operas that she had recorded during the day. And yeah,
that dates you.
What's that?
Watch the soap opera she recorded. That dates you.
I know, we had a VCR back then.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's the development piece or life vision piece that really didn't align. The life you wanted to grow into or become, it is a little bit different. Probably something you never talked about when you were dating, but it became more and more obvious as you went through life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think another thing, we grew apart as we were married. So I think lots of times it works the opposite way, that two people meet and they get together, and maybe communication is the key. But I think sometimes people can grow together while they're married, but we tended to, or we did, grow apart even while we were married and living in the same house.
What does growing apart mean? Like, what are some examples of you?
Examples. Well, I stopped being happy with being 20 pounds overweight, and drinking too much, and that sort of lifestyle. And I started doing yoga. I learned how to do Reiki. I started long distance running, and really was trying to improve my life. And I would have liked her to come along on that journey with me, and that never happened. And I think I made the mistake of pushing too hard, and then maybe she got turned off of all those ideas of made it saw it as a pressure maybe.
So you were changing your lifestyle consciously.
I think I was changing, and maybe she wasn't, and that's how we grew apart.
And so what happened leading to the divorce?
Well, leading into the divorce, I met someone else, and someone, she showed interest in me, which my wife had, very little interest in me or any of the things that we were doing. And we wound up having a 3-year affair before I got divorced. And, maybe the right thing to do at that point would have been to end things. Well, definitely the right thing to do would have been to end things right there. because that was a pretty good sign that I wasn't happy in my marriage. But still, fear was the motivating factor that kept me in the marriage. Fear of fear of losing my children, losing my house, all that kind of thing.
Thank you for sharing that. I know it can be really, really hard. And what would you do differently if it's you now with regards to that part?
I guess if you drop, me now into any point, I would have, I think, first of all, having a discussion about the things that I'm unhappy with at the time, and seeing if, we could work hard and fix things before they got to the point where we were that far apart. And then, if that wasn't possible, getting out of the marriage earlier rather than later. And yeah, there would have been less hard feelings, less time wasted, if I could do it that way, for sure.
So the fear of, I think a lot of fathers in particular, because we used to have this culture, is that you get a divorce, the father only see the children, every other weekend. That's kind of the deal or the norm. It's far from the truth now. And I see a lot of fathers fighting for more time. And the fact that they have to fight for more time says that we still kind of have that culture. But it's more common for fathers to be engaged in even after the divorce and have like equal parenting time now. So how did at the time it was how long ago? 10 years ago?
2006, so 8 years ago.
8 years ago, yeah. So not even long ago. So how did the divorce come along, that legal side of things, and how did it go when did you tell her that you want a divorce?
Yeah, what happened after she found out about the affairs? For a year we tried to work on the marriage, and after working really hard on the marriage for about a year, I realized that I had been working really hard to get back something that I didn't want in the first place. So we sat down, had a discussion, and from there, I realized that I wasn't in love with my wife, and we decided to get a divorce. And we went through, I forget what it was called, a kind of a mediation sort of
collaborative law.
Collaborative family law is what it was called.
Was it collaborative?
I think it worked out in the children's favor. It might have been a little expensive for me in the long run, but we came up, I think the best thing about it is we came up with a nice schedule that the children share time at my house and at their mom's house. So really I get to see them every day of the week except for Mondays. So that's
I know someone in our audience is very curious about how to achieve that, and we can answer questions later. I know you're so kind and gentle, and I don't know if you mind sharing what's the toughest part, because I know even in collaborative law situation, it's not easy. Yes, it's collaborative, but we're still dividing two people's life and assets, right? And so what's the tough part?
I guess at the time I didn't have a very good lawyer, and my ex-wife did have a very good lawyer. And so I guess
tell me, what does it not so good lawyer mean?
Well, I told him what my goals were, what I wanted, and he didn't really actually say anything. So he didn't stand up to the other lawyer in the room. So I felt it like it was me against my ex-wife and her lawyer with my lawyer just kind of sitting back and taking notes. That's really all he did in the process is take notes. And when it came time to argue on my behalf, I looked at him, he looked at me, and looked back down at his notes. So yeah,
So we
it
can
was
pay
me.
someone like $50 an hour to take notes, and not the
I think
price.
I was paying him about $300 an hour to take notes.
No, to all respect to the lawyers, but I think you're talking about the dynamic between your side and the other side. And I have clients that in collaborative law situation it seems like it's always one side is more aggressive, one side is more collaborative. That's why I asked like how collaborative was it?
I think you still need to
advocate for yourself,
to advocate, or if you can't do that, if you're not great at arguing, then make sure that you still do have a really good lawyer. Because the way it was presented to me, it was like everyone's looking out for everyone else, and rainbows and puppies and unicorns. And
like in the collaborative law,
like it was trying to be something
context,
but it wasn't. It's not. It's still it's still everybody is wants as much as they can get. So if you
advocating is for yourself it's key, and especially from even interviewing your lawyer, right? It's okay, like you can choose your lawyer because it's such a key partnership in the whole divorce journey. Like you gotta find the right lawyer that understands you and aligns with your values and your goals, and that's very important. So what would you say is the biggest lesson you learned through that process? How long did it take?
Well, not very long. I don't remember exactly, but I think the whole negotiation process only took a few months.
Oh, that's fast.
Yeah. It went fairly quickly, and then we had to wait a year after that until the divorce was final.
That's normal, but negotiation was done fairly quickly. What would you say is the biggest mistake you made during that negotiation process, other than hiring a lawyer who is not too aggressive?
Well, one thing I didn't know until after everything was signed is that the father's entitled to half the time, which I got more than half of the waking time, but one less night, which made me have to pay more money.
Because it's based on how many nights they stay with one parent and the other.
Right.
Okay.
So that's something that my lawyer didn't tell me, but my ex-wife did know that. So she negotiated hard to get one extra night with the kids in the 2-week period.
So you paid more child support?
And, because of that. So when we were negotiating for time, I thought I had won that battle because I had more waking time. I got I got one more dinner with the kids than what she did. So I felt like I had won. Until we realized, after everything was signed, that the reason I was paying so much child support is because she has one more night with the kids.
But winning or losing is all relative, right?
Yeah. So I still did get what I want. I had more time with the kids.
Exactly.
Which, I guess it's worth the money.
And especially when we think about your biggest fear at the time to take the step is losing quality time and access to your kids, which you didn't. And that fear, like you said, didn't have legs ultimately. And even though maybe you pay a little bit, I don't know how much, a little bit and a lot, like depends on how you look at money, but ultimately it's a win because you get to spend time with your daughters, quality time too. And awesome. So I want to go back to this a little bit. You said that 1 year you spent still trying to save your marriage, basically, right?
Okay, yeah.
You said, I realized basically, this is not what I want. I'm fighting for something I didn't want. Tell me about that realization.
Okay. Yeah, so after my wife found out about the affair, I cut off the affair, and I didn't see her again. And we went into counseling. I spent a year, well, first sleeping at my mother's house, and then sleeping in separate beds, and going to counseling, and really, really trying hard to say all the right things, to be the person, to be a committed husband, um, but still with the wrong person.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah. So it was a difficult year,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Difficult in what sense?
Um, difficult, I guess, emotionally. I was feeling guilty
Mm-hmm.
for most of the time that year, for having had an affair. Um, and yeah, not really having anyone to you know be on my side. Well, other than my mom was on my side. That was she was always in my corner. But it's also difficult. I was in a church community at the time who churches can be very judgmental, and I kind of lost that the
circle,
that circle
community,
of friends
Mm-hmm.
that that had been a part of my life since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And when things get really tough, I guess you realize who your real friends are. And
I
I
know what
found
you
out
mean.
that
Yeah.
some of the people who I really thought were friends definitely weren't.
Mm-hmm. And it's similar to when you go through this divorce journey and leave the marriage too, right? And you start to look at all the relationship around you, and realize, oh, okay, not only my marriage wasn't maybe good, and you look around, it's like you start to look at other relationships as well, the qualities of it. The guilt you talk about is the idea that I shouldn't have had an affair. What about other emotions as you were trying to make this marriage work, but realizing, no, it's not working. This is not what I wanted. What did you feel there? Was there guilt, and was there something else?
Well, a lot of loneliness.
Mhm.
I think probably the loneliest I've ever been in my life was when I was married.
Mhm.
After I found
Mhm.
after I was single again, I could meet lots of people. I had a social life again, but um, yeah, I guess it's ironic because a lot of people get married
Mhm.
to not be lonely, to have someone to fill a
Mhm.
void.
Mhm.
But yeah, being in a bad marriage, it's probably the loneliest possible thing
Mhm.
that you
One can
can find
experience.
yourself in. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. That's a big one. Mhm. Mhm. So I want to ask it because there was a it's how do I address this? How do I ask this question? So affair is not uncommon. It seems like there is more and more and more. Oh, let me ask you this question. Okay. What do you think? Do you think when you had the affair, were you running away from the marriage, or were you running toward this new relationship?
Oh, that's a great question. I've never really thought about it in that term before. The way I kind of always thought about it is being in that marriage was really bad for my self-esteem. And the way I psychoanalyzed myself after all this was over was that what that affair gave me was a lot of ego boost. So all of a sudden I found someone who actually liked me, who wanted to be with me, who was giving me, the attention, the verbal affirmations, the positivity that I wasn't getting at home. And so that's probably why I did what I did. Is that just it filled a need that and I wasn't thinking that way at
Of
that
course.
time. It was just all the emotions of, oh, this is true love. This is I finally found my soulmate. So that's but maybe that wasn't true at that time.
I was gonna ask, was it true love?
There was definitely love there, like a stronger love than what I ever had for my wife. So yeah, I would say it was true. That relationship has ended, and for different reasons. But yeah, I still respect and care for her as well, even though we found out that we're less compatible than what we thought we were way back then. But yeah, I think there was true love there too.
So, what would you answer the question? Were you running away from the marriage and running toward, or is it maybe half and half, or
maybe half and half? I don't think there's really
a clear cut
answer for that.
So, what advice would you give to a person who is in a marriage, maybe not so fulfilling and satisfying, and maybe they are thinking, oh, is this the marriage that I want to stay? Is this the person? And maybe there may be even opportunity for them to, quote unquote, have an affair. What advice would you give them?
I would say first and foremost, just be brave and talk to your partner. Say, by your partner, I mean your current spouse, and say, hey, this is what I'm feeling. But I mean, not the person you're ready to have an affair with. But you're
Good clarification. Good clarification.
Yeah. So talk to your husband or wife or partner, and be very clear. Say I'm unhappy with the way things are, and tell them your reasons. And see if it's something you can fix, and look inside yourself, see if it's something that you want to fix. And if it is, give that a shot first. And if that doesn't work, then find a good lawyer.
I think the lessons and in my case, in my divorce, and there's this infidelity on the other side. So I studied a lot and read all the books I could get my hands on. I think the idea that you're suggesting is that no matter what happens, what you choose, stay in the marriage or leave the marriage or whatever, even having an affair, that's your choice. It's really ultimately you need to figure out what do you want and what's fulfilling for you, right? Before, I think you kept saying I wasn't happy, and my ex told me, well, I haven't been happy for a long time. So okay, I was shocked, but the idea that we hinge our happiness on the other person is just not a good idea.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
I would say that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think you need to find happiness in yourself first,
Mhm.
before you can be happy in a relationship.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's hard to do that if when things are bad.
And
If
you
don't feel
felt
comfortable in your
alone.
own house.
Yes,
and things.
Yes, and you didn't feel like you have any support. And I remember after my ex disclosed that his infidelity, he was like, I who do I talk to? I didn't have anyone I could talk to. I think whether talk to a therapist or like a third unrelated party, it's if you're in this kind of relationship affair, or if you're considering talking to someone who's not related to anything, or your circle, could be really helpful, whatever that is. Sometimes it could be an elderly or someone from the church. It could be someone you can trust. Thank you for sharing that. I know that's hard. It's also, I want to touch on that because I know it's so common, infidelity in today's world. I think we should talk about it. We shouldn't pretend it doesn't exist. We also shouldn't just condemn the person who commit even the word I'm using, you're committing an affair, is that we're all human. Like anyone could be put into that position and make that decision, right? And it's like pointing fingers is not the right way. So thank you for sharing that. So the divorce came along, and how did the kids transition into two households?
Really well, actually. So the most traumatic moment actually wasn't when we decided to get divorced. It was when, well, basically when their mom found out about the affair, and I got kicked out of the house, basically. And there was a lot of emotion at that time. And we told the kids in the midst of all that emotion, and they cried, and it was, yeah, that was a scene, and that was very difficult. We did that in the wrong way. But a year later, when we decided to actually get a divorce, we told them, in a more controlled way,
Regulated away, yeah.
Intentionally, and explained how things were going to work, and that they would still be loved and cared for, and have two homes. And that wasn't as hard a transition for them. They I asked my oldest daughter recently, what she thinks of her life and the way things are. She's like, "Oh, great! I get 2 Christmases. Celebrate my birthday twice, twice as many presents." And so, I know that's a very superficial thing, but she was saying that kind of sincerely. And
she feels supported and loved, even at two households.
At both houses, she's happy. And,
that really just shows that even when divorce happens, if two parents can be supportive and truly, and the law says you should put the interests, your children's interests as top priority, but in reality it's not always the case. But when parents actually can do that, it can really, despite the divorce, can help the kids not only survive but thrive. And if both parents play as a team on the parenting front, that they can put aside whatever their disagreements are. So yeah, awesome. Were there difficult were there moments of challenge though in co-parenting?
A few. It's always the when you have to contact your ex and now this is
Some
there's
changes.
always
Yeah.
it feels like a bit of a drag sometimes.
To communicate.
Yeah, but you just bite the bullet, and this is for the kids. Well-being, and you do that. Go to medical appointments together if need be. I think sometimes the financial thing was the hardest because I extended myself absolutely as far as I could. And then when there are extra little payments,
Expenses,
the dental, the braces, all that sort of things on top of expensive child support, that feels like
compounded.
it does.
Can hit you hard.
That's difficult. But that's only money. You get through it. Work hard.
I guess the question I know some of my clients would ask, like, how many bullets do you have to bite though?
A lot, yeah.
A lot, yeah. But how do you, on the emotional front, like I mean, 8 years later, probably you went through a lot of inner dialogue and trying to calm yourself down, probably your spiritual pursuits too, that helps. And how did you get yourself to a place to be like, oh, it's just money? I know it's easy to say, but it's hard.
Yeah, I think that's maybe more my personal journey. That I think yoga has helped a lot with that.
Everybody do yoga.
Eastern, and by yoga I don't mean the asana practice. Going to the gym. Not as exercise, but the grander sort of
meditation
philosophy, and detaching yourself from caring so much about material possessions, realizing that the world around us isn't what's real. What's real is what's inside the permanent part of the person, and really working on yourself. The permanent part of yourself is more important than how much money you have at the end of the year, how much you save, and
detaching is hard.
Absolutely.
That letting go piece, but super empowering and freeing when you can realize it's like, oh, it's just money.
It's not.
All of the lawyers stop working right now.
Well, can you imagine what a peaceful world we'd have?
Yes. Just go sit down and meditate.
Very few of us are there. I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
It's a long journey.
Long journey. Yes.
Lifelong journey. Many lives.
Yeah. So I love you emphasize, like, ultimately the bullets you bite in communicating with your ex and co-parenting. Ultimately, it's how do you work on your inner self? Where can you find peace? How can you find peace, regardless of how the other person act or react? And that's the real work. Is what I'm hearing. How about post-divorce recovery? And you said you ended the affair, and how did that come about? And did you guys?
Yeah, well, once we decided to get divorced, I started seeing her again, and that was fun. Later we decided we weren't on the same path. She was from a very conservative Christian home, and I was doing a lot of different spiritual practices, Reiki, and past life regressions, and all. I took a class in becoming a medium, and that I think scared her and was a big factor in ending that relationship.
What's become a medium?
A medium, like well, what my mother passed away,
Mm.
and I wanted to be able to a medium is someone who can talk to people from that have passed.
It's a training you did?
I did a training, yeah, in that.
Okay. Okay.
It was, out of interest's sake, and yeah, it was part of my journey in my grieving process after my mom passed away. But yeah, the lady I was with, didn't see that as being something that should be done. She had a very very black and white view of the Bible, and that was considered maybe evil or dangerous in her mind, and a few other things that so yeah, ultimately after 3 years, we stopped seeing each other.
So again, some value disalignment there, and that okay, I have to ask, were you able to talk to your mom?
Yeah. So yeah, that was a very real thing, and it's not like you and me sitting and having a conversation. It's a very it takes time, it takes discipline, and practice, and you just have to be silent and listen. But yeah, that's possible.
Thank you for sharing. My God, you are full of surprises. And I went to your home. It's like, oh, there's a piano. Do you play piano? Yes, I do. There's so many guitars. Do you play guitar? Yes, I do. Okay.
Got a lot of hobbies.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So in terms of post-divorce recovery, this journey of find yourself again and who you are and what do you want in life, how did that come about? It sounds like you've been consciously working on that.
Yeah, well, sometimes consciously, sometimes not.
Awesome. Where are you in life, and other than that piece? Your daughters are doing well?
My daughters are doing well. Financially stable. My business is doing well. So yeah, I'm at a nice spot in life. Yeah.
So awesome. Thank you for sharing. And it seems to me that you been seeking happiness, contentment, and ultimately love. Would you say that's your journey, and you are at this place?
No, I don't think I'm like at the end of a road in a journey or anything. I think, life is, you're always improving, you're always developing, learning something new. So yeah, there's still a long way to go.
It's just a student of this life. So to the audience who, whether they're debating to leave or stay in their marriage because they're not happy, and maybe they haven't been happy for a long time, they felt this loneliness in this marriage, or someone who are going through this divorce journey in the thick of divorce negotiation, things are getting ugly and real, and there's a lot of pain. What advice would you give them?
Okay, I guess it depends where they are. I'd say if things are getting ugly, I would say try to even though you're in the process of ending things, try to still look at it as a partnership, that you and your ex are trying to do what's best for the kids. Try to be the two of you against the problem. Still look out for yourself. Try to get the best deal that you can. But yeah, you could communicate and be reasonable. Try to not,
Mhm.
not do anything motivated by anger. Um, yeah, it is frustrating. Divorce is a really frustrating thing. It feels like
Painful.
you're running into brick walls all the
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
You don't have enough friends on your side. You're losing friends.
You're
and
alone.
stuff.
You're just so isolated. You're just by yourself
Yeah, so
in this island. And
yeah, just
everything is drifting away. For real, right? When you're in it.
yeah, you're and it's a big transition.
Huge.
But yeah, I think just know that life gets better. There is life after.
Life after.
Yeah,
It's,
life after you get through that. It's yeah.
life after. Okay. I love the idea of two against the problem. I think this is if everyone, like if most people can get here, I think we can go a long way. I love that. And I'm going to ask this question because some of the clients will ask, what if the other side is not on the same page with you, with your philosophy or approach, this collaborative approach that we're together against this problem? What if they're super aggressive or silent and not really talking to you?
I don't know. Well, I haven't been in. Well, I have had a very silent wife, but that was more before we started this process. And I didn't figure that out. I would say do your best to talk to them, and if you can't, just do the best that you can. You try to be your best self, because you can never control another person. You can't grab them by the shoulders and say, please love me,
or please work with me, or please think the best interests of the children. And
you can never make another person be the person that you want them to be. You can only be your best self. And I think when you're working on being your best self, then your best partner will show up.
Oh my God, drop the mic. This is it. Here we end. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeff, for just sharing so vulnerably. I know this can be hard to share. Super happy and inspired by this new journey you are about to embark on. And awesome. And thanks again, Jeff.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.